The House business is now interrupted for the presentation of inaugural speeches. Before I call a member for Swansea, I'd like to warmly welcome all visitors to the gallery today, no doubt family, friends and supporters of the new member for Swansea. I'd also like to particularly welcome the former member of the Australian House of Representatives representing the seat of Charlton, the Honourable Greg Combay. Welcome to you. The former member for Swansea, Robert Coombs. Hello, Robert. Nice to see you back. Family, friends and supporters, all of you, you are most welcome to the Legislative Assembly this morning. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on the member for Swansea.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the custodians of the land on which we meet here in this place. I pay my respects to the elders past and present and their future leaders. I am proud to stand in this chamber as the elected representative for the people of Swansea. So I also pay my respects to the First Nations people of that land, the Awabakal and the Darkinjung people. I am honoured to stand here knowing that the people of Swansea have put their trust in me to represent them. Being elected to the New South Wales Parliament by your community is one of the greatest privileges that one can receive. Thank you. To the people of Swansea, I will represent you with integrity, with honesty, and I will always respect the interests of our community. I am humbled that you have given me this responsibility and you will not be disappointed. Swansea has an abundance of natural beauty. It is surrounded by two magnificent lake systems, Lake Macquarie and Tuggerah Lakes. The stunning Munmora State Conservation Area with its sparkling coastline and enviable nature walks. There are 4 surf clubs stretched along the 40 kilometres of pristine coast, which is the eastern border of the electorate. Lake Surf Club, Catherine Hill Bay, Caves Beach and Swansea Belmont. I am proud to tell you that I am a member of the Caves Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, where I volunteer my time as a lifesaver. Madam Speaker, there has been a bit of competition about which electorate hosts the most beautiful beach.
Yes.
I'm not going to weigh into that debate because I know the answer.
Yeah, we all do.
But what I can inform the House is that I host the safest beach because I'm there. You are all welcome to come and visit and be assured that whilst you are swimming, you will be safe. My patrol has not lost a swimmer yet. I joined the Australian Labor Party when I was 19 years of age. I joined it because it was the party that shares my values of fairness and justice and equality. I grew up in a working class family where we were taught to love and respect ourselves and others, to treat people how you would like to be treated yourself, to think about others and to stand up for what is right. But above all else, we were taught to be proud of who we are and loyal to what we believe in. Today, I'm here to share not just some of my story, but also the stories of the people and the communities that I represent. Madam Speaker, if ever there were any doubt about my purpose for being here, that was quickly dispelled last week in question time. The Minister for Skills was asked about the debacle this government has left New South Wales TAFE in. Underfunded, understaffed, under-resourced, overpriced and inaccessible. Shame. And what was the Minister's ill-considered response? It was, we make no apologies about the fees. Shame. Madam Speaker, I know that in my electorate, apprentices are paying between $500 and $1,500 more for a course. This is creating barriers for the people who want to learn in the Swansea electorate. Labor has always valued vocational education. Labor values TAFE because TAFE means skills, and skills means jobs. Jobs for our young people, jobs for the disadvantaged, or jobs for those who are looking to make a positive change in their lives. Every single day we depend in some way on the services, skills or support of someone with a qualification from TAFE. The mechanic that fixes our car, the early childhood educator that looks after our children, or indeed the hairdresser who cuts our hair. There are a large number of tradies in the Swansea electorate, and they all relied on the local TAFE to gain their qualifications. In the 2011 census, it was found at 10.9%, Swansea has the state's third highest proportion of residents employed in construction. At 24.6%, Swansea has the sixth highest proportion of residents with a trade qualification. And at 56.2%, has the fifth highest proportion of residents who left school in Year 10 or earlier. I commit in this House to being a champion of TAFE for the people of Swansea and New South Wales.
Yeah.
Ooh, shaky, I haven't even had any scotch. Ooh, Jesus. It is with enormous pride that I stand here today in the Legislative Assembly of New South Wales, the oldest parliament in this country, to deliver what will be first of many speeches. To give you some context, there have been 1,639 members of the Legislative Assembly. Only 57 of them have been women, which includes those who are sitting in this parliament today. Being here in this chamber as the elected representative for the electorate of Swansea is a privilege of great proportion, and one that I will be reminded on every time I enter this place. I was pre-selected as the Labor candidate in February in 2015. As many of my colleagues will attest, winning a pre-selection in a political party is often no easy feat. But I would like to thank my local ALP branch members, many of whom are up there now, for throwing your support behind me as your candidate to go forward for the general election in 2015. I would also like to thank Anthony Albanese, Jill Hall, Pat Conroy, John Graham, and the Leader of the Opposition, Luke Foley, for your support and encouragement. Greg Combay, it was your support and encouragement that gave me the confidence to stand for public office as a representative of the Australian Labor Party. You are one of the most decent human beings that I have ever known. I thank you for your belief in me. With the help and the commitment of the local branch members, we laid out a plan to run a solid grassroots campaign. Team Catley was headed up by Deanna Richardson, Elle Lingard and Adam Schultz. They were fun, energetic, committed, and I've already booked you for 4 years' time. Rose Jackson, thank you so much for keeping us on course. However, Deanna Richardson is the champion of the Swansea campaign. She ran a tight ship with military precision. She is my stalwart, she is loyal, and I trust her with all of my heart. You are my friend. It was a long campaign, 15 months. I would like to thank those of my dedicated campaign team that were there with me from the beginning to the end. Councillor Kay Fraser, Stephen Jones, Lindsay Hall, Councillor Doug Vincent, Sean Goss, Kathy Tudor, David Murray, Judy Wells, Christine Buckley and Val Symington. Their level of enthusiasm and energy never wavered. They kept me going. I would also like to extend my thanks to you, John Robertson. John visited the campaign on many occasions, and it was to a great surprise when he came door knocking with me in Budgie Roy. The residents were very impressed. Thank you very much, John. So many volunteers spent countless hours knocking on doors, phoning people, or just supporting me at street stalls, shopping centres and markets. I know that many of you are sitting right there today. I am so grateful for your assistance, and the Labor Party is so lucky to have you. With more than 64% of the vote, it was a resounding victory for Labor and for you and your efforts. Together we had more than 20,000 conversations with our community. It was truly a humbling experience. The issues varied from croaking frogs to building airports. But in September, I met Gary. He lives in Budgie Roy. He was a crazy South Sydney supporter. But he described to me the tough times his wife was experiencing. She had cancer. But it's better now, though, since we don't have to travel to Nepean Hospital every week for treatment, he told me. You can imagine the surprise of me learning this. Gary explained to me that even though he had pleaded with health officials to receive treatment locally, he and his wife had to trek down to the Nepean Hospital twice a week for 6 months. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated case. This government's cuts to health and health workers contribute to these dreadful stories that we hear all too often. The guiding principles for the health of our community should not be determined by what people can afford. As a community, we must ensure that health policy is guided by our values, not the bottom line. It is and always has been Labor governments that have invested in better public health. And I am proud to stand for the party that introduced Medicare, a universal healthcare system and primary funder for healthcare in Australia. A system that allows access for everyone, regardless of their economic or social context, where they live or their medical needs. Healthcare should prioritise patient care and be driven by improving patient outcomes. It should never, ever be relative to profits of shareholders or economic gain. I stand for a strong, progressive public health system. That means keeping hospitals in public hands. Yeah. It means investing in the nurses and the doctors of our health system instead of burning them out and taking them for granted. It means supporting cutting-edge medical research. I would like to acknowledge the groundbreaking research at the Hunter Medical Research Institute, which, can I say, was funded by Labor governments. I'd like to make a special mention to the member for Strathfield. She knows how important the Institute is for the Hunter region. She was instrumental in securing state funding at that time, along with the local Hunter federal Labor members. We cannot afford the Conservatives' privatisation plan for health and hospitals in New South Wales. Unfortunately, some private healthcare operators put returning profits to shareholders before patient care. It is right for us to have legitimate concern about the ability of the private sector to deliver healthcare to everyone who needs it, irrespective of their ability to pay. Let's just go back to Gary for a moment. Gary and his wife, pretty working class. They live in a modest home and they provide for their family, but they struggle with the rising costs of living. They cannot afford private health insurance. They're pretty typical, in actual fact, of the many people living in the Swansea electorate. Gary is relieved that the trips to Nepean Hospital are now only twice every 6 months. But he was also very grateful for the treatment that his wife had received, even though it had had significant impacts on their lives. These people don't really ask for much, and they're very accepting. I, Madam Speaker, on the other hand, am not so accepting. The people of Swansea deserve access to quality healthcare, and I will fight for that for them every day. Healthcare is not something that I am willing to compromise on, and it's not something the people of New South Wales should have to concede or negotiate. There is a lot of inequality in our health system, and those on the other side are happy to actively contribute to this disparity. I watch the gap between the haves and the have-nots in my community every day. I will work hard to reduce that gap and ensure that there is this fairness in our health system. When I talk about fairness, justice and equality and what this means to ordinary people, there is no better example than the access to education and health. It has always been apparent to me that education leads to opportunity, a better future and a better life. A great education equips you with the skills that you need to get a good job, to establish a secure life for yourself and your family. It is fair and just that everyone should be entitled to get a world-class education regardless of their background. Education is the great equaliser. You don't have to look far, though, to find somebody who simply wouldn't be where they are without access to public education. Last year, I spoke to a woman named Linda. At the age of 32, Linda's husband had a stroke, which prevented him from working. He was a builder. She's always been a stay-at-home mum. She described to me how scared she was for her family's future. That was until she found TAFE. Linda retrained through TAFE, and now she is the sole income earner for her family. She is a confident woman going forward. I was very proud to meet her. Likewise, you don't have to look far to see how cuts to education devastate the lives of those who otherwise could not afford it. Earlier this year, I spoke to a man in Lake Munmora. He had 2 subjects to go before he finished his assistant plumbing course at Wyong TAFE. To get by, he worked nights at Sanitarium Factory at Cooranbong. Before he could finish Wyong TAFE stopped offering the course, and the nearest TAFE course which offered it was Maitland. Craig simply couldn't keep his job and finish his course. He was forced to choose. It is not only morally wrong to deny an education to people like Craig, but it ultimately leaves our society poorer. The short-sightedness of those who seek to erect barriers to educational pathways completely baffles me. I have always believed education is a public good. All of us want to be confident that the electrician that we employ knows how to wire our house properly, that the doctor who treats us knows exactly what they're doing, and that the bridge that we're driving on is designed by a quality engineer. The fact that socioeconomic status is still a key determining factor for educational outcomes says to me that there is much, much more to be done. This just isn't good enough, and I intend on being part of the solution to change it. While education is crucial to empowering people to reach their full potential, there is nothing more dignifying than having a job. We all know that to raise a family in financial security and to get the satisfaction that we all deserve in our lives, most people need a good, secure and rewarding job. But the benefits of a good job go beyond the individual and the family. They can be seen in vibrant communities, in safe streets, and in strong regional and national economy. In fact, it's no exaggeration to say good jobs are at the heart of a strong society, and that is why they're at the heart of what Labor stands for. But for too many people, finding or keeping that good job isn't getting any easier. In fact, it is getting harder. In the last year alone, New South Wales has seen 24,000 more people become unemployed. In fact, since the ALP was last in power in New South Wales, we've seen 45,000 people join the unemployment queues, and in Swansea, the unemployment rate is around 8.1%. But these statistics mask the real cost of a lack of a good job. They don't show the worry felt at countless dinner tables as families struggle to make ends meet. They don't show the heartache of relationships broken down because of financial stress and the guilt of kids who blame themselves for that breakdown, regardless of what their parents say. They can never ever show the human cost, but it is in actual fact the human cost that really matters. The solution to too few jobs, though, isn't more precarious jobs, lower wages, or the abandoning of communities where generations have made their homes. It's investment, not only in people and their skills, but in industries, technologies and infrastructure. The solution isn't a government that sits on its hands and says, just let the market fix it. It's a government that says we have a responsibility to provide the vision, the infrastructure and impetus for growth that creates good jobs. In our region, we know what it means to have to adapt to change. We have experienced we have experience in the devastation that wholesale industry closures can have. But we also have experience in building the new industries and the new jobs that will underpin our kids' prosperity. We're home to the CSIRO's National Energy Centre, which is doing cutting-edge research in solar and other new clean energy. We're home to the Newcastle Institute of Energy and Resources, which brings together the country's best thinkers to invent the energy technology the whole world will need to tackle climate change. These aren't just research centres for research's sake. They are collaborative efforts with industry to create whole new industries. They aren't just inventing the technologies of the future, they are helping to create the businesses that make the future a reality, and in the process, creating those good, secure, rewarding jobs that we so desperately need. In the USA, jobs in the solar energy industry have increased by 22% since 2013. 170,000 Americans are now employed in turning sunshine into clean energy. But here, while we have the best solar resources in the world, and while we lead the world in solar technology, our investment in renewables is the lowest it has been since 2002. Rather than supporting this crucial industry, capitalising on our gifts and our smarts, Liberal and National Party governments at the state and federal level are sabotaging our future through policy incompetence and inaction. Whether it's renewables, shipbuilding or high-tech services that need the best broadband possible, we need a government that will fight for an advanced, dynamic and strong economy, and crucially for the jobs that must sit at the heart of that economy. As long as I have the honour of representing the people of Swansea, they can rest assured that their local member will be fighting for that economy and those jobs for them and for their kids. My father instilled in me the importance of having a job. Jack Catley was a seafarer. In his day, it was not uncommon for seafarers to be out of work for long periods of time, worried about providing for their families while they waited on the roster. Jack and his colleagues campaigned to change these work practices and install a system that was fair and gave workers some certainty. My dad is a life member of the Maritime Union of Australia. His union has fought for better working conditions for maritime workers on our shores and internationally for more than 120 years. I have been associated with that union all of my life. I have walked with them in support of an apology for our Indigenous brothers and sisters. I have rallied with them against apartheid in South Africa. I have cried with them when a worker doesn't return home as a result of a workplace accident. And I stood shoulder to shoulder with them during the 1998 Patrick's Dispute, one of the most despicable attacks on workers in the industrial history of this country. The working men and women of the Maritime Union of Australia, who I proudly call my friends, have had a significant influence in shaping my beliefs, which I know will make me a better parliamentarian. To the trade unions that supported me and helped Swansea return to Labor, I would like to give you a heartfelt thanks. To the AMWU, the CFMEU Mining, United Voice, the IEU, the nurses, the SDA, the teachers, the fireys, and of course the MUA. And I would also like to pay a special thanks to Daniel Wallace from the Newcastle Trades Hall Council. There are many of my friends and family and supporters here today. I am so delighted to be able to share this proud day with you. Thank you. Jack and Anne Catley, my parents, are here as well today. They are joined by Rosalind, Lorraine and Richard, my sisters and brother. They will all tell you that as the baby of the family, that I'm spoilt rotten. Well, I would like to put on the public record, you are right. You may have all spoilt me, but I can assure you it doesn't take away from the love and respect that I have for each and every one of you and for your families. It is impossible to take on this responsibility without a strong support structure behind you. I only have to ask you, and you are there. I would not have been able to do this with you. Thank you so much. My lovely daughters, Alex, Georgia and Charlotte. You are the loves of my life. And my work here is driven by my desire to make this place a better one for you, so that you have a better future. Please know that there is nothing you can't achieve. To my husband, Robert, you and I are lifetime partners. We make a great team. We share the same values: fairness, justice and equality. Everything we do is guided by them, including our relationship. I do, however, hope that you look to using the shining example set by the partner of the former member for Swansea over the next 4 years. Congratulations to my Labor colleagues, those who were re-elected, and to the new members, the class of 2015. Game on.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Who's the next one?